how to relate to each other. And so these programs that you're implementing, the mental health, again, I hear that you started that. Well done. Okay, you know, if I'm just going to criticize a hair, 5 kids from each school, I hope we can bump that number up, right? I hope we can do it in person. There's a difference in being here, talking to somebody, than talking to somebody on the screen. So again, I'm not going to criticize that much though. Just thank you for what you've been doing over the last couple of years. Appreciate that. Raise, thank you. Okay, from Aadusd members, thank you. You guys, you communicated to us that you value us and that you are investing in us. You will never be able to afford what LA Unified can hire or can pay. And but what you did say was, we hear you, we are concerned about it, and we're going to try to solve it the best we can. And so what you gave, what you invested in us was legitimate. When I heard the number, I was like, okay, that is a serious number. And so Aadusd members appreciate that. It's obviously the people who work here, there's a few kinds. It's going to help attract new people, right? When we are not competitive, and I'm not criticizing, I'm just stating this, when we're not competitive in what kind of people are we going to attract? We're going to attract people with no experience, people who couldn't make it here or there. We're going to get bad teachers. But if we start paying them a substantial raise, what you just did, it's going to be a whole lot easier to attract teachers. And so from Aadusd member, from Sheldon Sparks, from my family, thank you for investing in your staff. It went a long way. On the second program of that is, you know, we are a union, and there's another union, the classified union. LA Unified gave their classified 20%. Okay, I know you can't afford that. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that, you know, there are other districts out there that are pumping more into it. Okay, and so a 20% raise for a bus driver who makes $20 an hour is now making $24 an hour. It's a whole lot easier to attract somebody with $24 an hour. We need to hire some people. And last year we had, and I'm sorry I'm going on so long, but I got a lot to say, so please, if you want me to cut me short, let me know. If you need this kind of thing, and I will. You know, you want to be able to keep good people around. The yard duty person, the aide in the classroom, sometimes is more important than the superintendent, than Sheldon Sparks, than any other Aadusd member. It's important to have bus drivers. And if we don't have enough, we have a shortage of them, how are we going to attract them? You know, you're going to have to up that salary, right? And so again, other people, other unions in the area are raising their salaries for their, you know, we all got to pull in the same direction. Again, we know you guys don't have unlimited funds, and you have, you know, certain things that you can pay. I'm just saying it's the people who make this place run. It's us, all of us, and we want to keep good people. Athletics, I don't want to gloss over too much, but you guys have invested a lot of money in athletics over the last 4 years. You really have. You built the junior high, okay, and that is starting to show fruit in the high school. So the seeds that we're planting in 6th, 7th, 8th grade is now starting to bear fruit at the high school. What am I talking about? All of our teams except 2 made playoffs this year, okay, at the high school level. That is unheard of. Okay, in the winter and in spring sports, all the teams in both of those all those teams made playoffs. So what you're doing, the money that you're pouring into at the element or the junior high is paying dividends in success. It'll start to show dividends in terms of behaviors. And so my hat's off to you guys. You've invested a lot of money in a lot of different programs, and we're seeing fruit from that. Next year, we're going to have flag football with girls. I hope you guys are aware of that. Really excited about that. We have about 40 or 50 interests. I don't know if they'll all play, but if we even get half of that, that would be the biggest team on campus. So that's another investment that you guys are making next year. I'm really excited about that one. That one's going to be, we'll see what goes with that. In addition to that, you know, you're spending money on athletics, and you have a beautiful gym, and you have a beautiful softball field, and you need to consider investing in a football stadium. okay? I know Mr. Fallsgraf always mocks me when I sit there and I say, I want a swimming pool, I want a track, I want a football field. Okay, I'm the athletic director, I want it all, I'm sorry. But a football field, you know, you spend $2 or $3 million, that would solve boys soccer, girls soccer, football, flag football, track. It's almost half my sports. And so, again, if we're going to invest and keep investing, I heard some comments last week about we want to put things on an agenda, we want to invest, you know, maintain this facility, improve this facility on some. I think you should sit there and consider maybe maintaining or upgrading that football field. And, you know, Jorgensen Stadium needs a facelift, so I just think that would be wise. I know I'm going on long. I'm still going through the good. Ms. Shaw, my hat's off to you, lady. As ADA representative, you interact with a lot of ADA members, and all of them, to the T, say how amazing you are. In my own interactions with you, you've always tried to treat us fair. We've had some difficult conversations and meetings this year, things that are awkward and greasy, and you have just handled it with professionalism. Most of the time I agree with you, sometimes I don't, but I just really appreciate how you partnered with that and the effort that you gave here. You will be missed, and I bet you regret not resigning last year. On that, how we treat people has been my common theme since I've been ADA president. The last 2 years, I'm finishing up my second year. We, as leadership, need to be the example. We need to be. When we bring forgive me, not trying to single you out, sir, but this is like a perfect microcosm of what I'm trying to get across, what ADA is trying to get across. We brought the bus driver, the bus company in here, right? And I watched that, and man, you got into him. Like you were asking him hard questions, and your pace of your tone and your response was aggressive, and you dressed him, right? You got into him a little bit. And so, and you felt like you were justified, and I totally understand. And that's your style, and I get that. But on Monday, we have a bus. We have a bus coming on Monday. That bus did not show up, right? Brittany, help us. What's going on here? Just, yes, Sparks. I called him. I've talked to him. We confirmed it. They say he's on his way. Okay, Brittany, 15 minutes later. Brittany, the bus is still not here. Sparks is coming. I swear to goodness. I've talked to the guys. That bus never showed up. And I'm wondering if we offended him so much that it affected that decision. I don't know. I don't have that proof. But I do know that our actions and our words cannot affect students. And I had 20 kids sitting outside for an hour waiting for a bus that never showed. And thank goodness for Brittany, who problem solved, and we don't pay that lady enough. So to shout out to her, she did a fabulous job learning on the job, and you know, making that turned out to be a success. But again, I'm not trying to point my finger at you, sir. I'm just trying to say, you are a leader. You set the example, you set the tone. And that carries over into how we treat children, right? I have staff members who watch you, watch these board meetings and imitate how we act. And in our justification, you're justified to sit there and mic that person up. I get that that's your style. But then that other person, that other employee sees that and goes, oh, okay, I'm justified too. What that person just did, I'm justified. And so it becomes contagious. We model what we want to see. Okay? I'm a firm believer, treat people with respect. Okay? I'm sure there's a few of you who do not like me. It's okay. I'm not for everybody. But you would never know that between us. Because we both treat each other with respect. And so when somebody steps into this room, or we sit there and we have an employee who is, you know, maybe has the scrutiny on them, why are we treating them poorly? Why do we know what's going on? How we treat people is so valuable. It communicates value to people. If I treated your daughter, or if I treated your son, or if I treated your sons and daughters, if I was rude to them, would you hold me accountable? Right? I think you would. And so, who can hold you accountable? I can't. I'm not your boss. Right? I don't think you guys do. Every once in a while, the newspaper lady does. She puts some quotes in there. But I'm asking you guys to understand your position and realize that you set the tone and the example. And that what you do, what I do, people are going to follow that. If I sit there and I start disrespecting people on campus, you better well know that my seniors will start doing it. But if I go up on campus and I shake everybody's hand and I look them in the eye and I say good morning, good morning, good morning to every person I pass, all of a sudden that becomes contagious and the students are starting to do it. It affects culture. And that's all I'm asking you to do. Let's affect culture in a positive way. We are amazing human beings. The people who work in this district are fabulous. You are fabulous. You have a heart of gold, sir. Everybody in this whole community respects you. And all we're asking is please lead us. Mentor these younger people. You being the senior one.
You think
right?
I'm the old guy.
Anyways, my point is understand that how we treat people matters. Thank you so very much. Again, it's been a tough year, but I'm glad that I get to come up here and partner with this group of people. Thank you, Dr. Sahaki. Good luck with shop. Thank you again.
Is it appropriate to loop?
Well, you can poop.
Loop. Oh, not loop. Loop.
Oh. Thank you guys. I'll see you later.
We typically don't loop after
Okay.
comments. 3A, closed session discussion items. During closed session, we may conference with labor negotiators, public employee discussion, discipline, dismissal, release, conference with legal counsel, and student matters. 3B, adjourn to closed session. Can I get a motion?
Kevin.
I'll second.
Discussion? Call for question. All those in favor?
Tim Targets tonight.
Mascot. Paul Jeff, aye.
Brianna Taxoni, aye. We are adjourned to closed session at 6:48 p.m.
Communicate clearly and concisely with respect over the time of others. Listen objectively, carefully considering the opinions of others. Understand the counterproductive nature, effects of disruptive, demeaning, and intimidating behaviors. Understand and respect district policies and procedures. Maintain respect for the rich history of the district and the efforts of others who have served in the past. I think I want to add one to it, which would be assume positive intent.
Thank you. 5A, report of action taken in closed session. Action was taken in closed session. In closed session, the board took action pursuant to Education Code Section 44929.21B to release and non-reelect from employment a probationary certificated employee identified as employee number DE 959873. 1, effective at the end of the the 2022-23 school year, and directed the superintendent or designee to send out appropriate legal notices. (6A) Public comments, recognition, and reports.
No public comment cards at this time.
Thank you. 7A, ADA representative was moved to prior to closed session. 7B, CSEA representative. 7C, student representative to the board.
Miss Emily Hunanyan is in support of a track meet this evening, and she did email me earlier. She's very conscientious, as always, and said she may be running late.
Okay, so if she does come, we can move her report to then. 7D, Superintendent Gold Standard Report.
Thank you. So tonight I'll be covering 2 strategic initiatives from our existing plan. We will be covering student achievement as well as community engagement. First off, student achievement. Last week on May 18th, Meadowlark Elementary had a very successful open house. Large turnout by our Meadowlark parents. Teachers proudly displayed and showcased their students' work very proudly. Kudos to the teaching staff. PTO and their sponsored book fair was standing room only at the library. I just could peek inside really quickly, but it was truly standing room. Always doing great work in support of Meadowlark. Congratulations to all. Community engagement. The strategic plan writing team, composed of staff, parent, community member, have been diligently working in synthesizing the robust feedback received from the development team. With that said, the updated strategic plan will be a live document that would incorporate not only our goals, but action items, deliverables, and tasks with timelines to assess our efforts moving forward as a district collectively. The writing team had a follow-up meeting last Friday with consultant Jim Brown from Leadership Associates, who's been instrumental in getting us to where we need to be in the process. Initially, the writing team proposed presenting the final draft to the development team late this month and to our board in the month of June. However, at this juncture, we strongly believe the action items and tasks for each goal need careful thought and consideration as we are looking to align efforts to our LCAP, the Local Control Accountability Plan, as well as our SIPSA, our School Plan for Student Achievement. The writing team is looking to continue the work through summer, then present the final draft to our respective stakeholders for their input in the fall, starting with the development team so we can report back to them. Then ultimately to our trustees for a review and final approval. We want to ensure that the final document plan is a solid guide for moving our district forward successfully and together. Moving forward for community engagement, we are thrilled and excited to announce the launch of our new online registration for our district community. If your family resides within the attendance boundary or has an inter-district permit, you can enroll in our district. An all-new online registration is now open for all new and returning students for the upcoming school year, 23-24 school year. The online process is intended to streamline the registration process for our families as well as our school site staff. There's a link below that you can see. Also, there are two links, and Alex will go ahead and demonstrate for us what you'll see on our website in a moment's time. There are multiple areas on our homepage, which will start with an important message. The important message basically reads out what I just shared to the community, as well as providing the hyperlink. And then once you click the hyperlink, it will take you to the page you need to go ahead and register. You'll see under the Enroll Today, you'll see two tabs, one for new students to our district, and then for our returning students. So make sure that you click the appropriate link. It will take you to where you need to go in the Aries portal to go ahead and make sure that you are, let's say if you are a concurrent student and you are registering for next year, you'll be updating some pertinent information on Aries, and then there are some forms that you would typically receive as a hard copy during registration or orientation that you'll find online now. This doesn't necessarily take away from our opening of school orientations and kickoff and parent orientations, but it really streamlines the majority of forms that you'll receive or would have received in your summer registration packet. So trying to make it as easy as possible for everyone involved, particularly our parents and new parents in the district. So I don't know, Alex, do you want to go ahead and demonstrate maybe what tabs would lead to where?
Sure.
Thank you.
So first we will have the banner that is linked to our microsite. So you click on it and it will go right through it. The second option that we have will be for global icon, which is here, Enroll Today.
You get onto our homepage, and then you could also you'll also get a important message icon, which will have the hyperlink. There's the banner that Alex is showing you on the homepage right now. You could also go to the parent-student link above. That will take you to a menu where there will be the enrollment. You click on that, and then you also have an icon on the homepage that says Enroll Today. So you have 4 ways to navigate and get to where you need to go. But the easiest, in my personal opinion, professional opinion, will be the banner that you see up here. And again, make sure that you click on New Student if you're new to the district for 23-24. And if you're a concurrent student returning back in the fall, make sure that you click on the Return Student tab. So thank you for that, Alex. All right, moving forward. Community recognition. The Antelope Valley Association of California School Administrators, AV-AXA for short, has honored and recognized Mrs. Mary Fife for the 22-23 Golden Apple Volunteer of the Year. Mrs. Fife, Mary and her husband, moved to Agua Dulce where they raised 2 daughters who are both graduates of Vasquez High School. Mary is was a tireless volunteer with the Agua Dulce Elementary School Boosters and continued to help at the various campuses while her daughters attended school. She continues to volunteer tirelessly even after her daughters graduated, and her time and energy have been invaluable. She has secured raffle donations from almost every business in Acton Agua Dulce communities for the Vasquez PTSO, spring and fall festivals. She reaches out to the community members, knocks on doors, and visits numerous establishments for the benefit of the school. And she does this with a smile, because every time I see her, she gives me a smile. So I appreciate that in you, Miss Mary. In addition, Mary is an active and integral participant on the strategic plan development team. She attended all 3 sessions religiously. She was in tune. She made insightful comments. She provided feedback, and her insight and her feedback was truly treasured because of her experience here with the district. And when she would pull me to the side after the 3 sessions, and she started off by saying to me, "Now let me share something with you. This is what you really need to know." I knew she meant business. Thank you, Mary, and many congratulations to you, and thank you for all your efforts, not only for our district, but the Agua Dulce and Acton communities. Congratulations.
For Mary?
I just, as a teacher, the volunteerism that comes into the campuses helps out. It's just fabulous. And so thank you for all of my former colleagues and the hard work they do. And it's you, keep people like you that keep us going. So I thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for all your time and effort.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mary, you've been doing this a really long time with different groups, and PTSO, I think the strength of PTSO is the day-to-day. Hi, we're here, we appreciate what you do. The sandwiches and cookies go a really, really long way when you're trying to be a teacher.
Yes, they do.
That is dealing with everything they have to deal with. So
Yeah.
thank you for being on-site support for the staff that appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have been doing this for a really long time. I know that you've helped out in so many different areas, and it's not just at schools, it's not just with PTSO and boosters, it's also with sports events, it's with pretty much anything that both Acton and Agua Dulce needs. You're there and you step up with that beautiful smile on your face, so thank you very much. I will also mention that it's not just Mary, it's the entire Fife family, because Walter, even though he did not have a son that plays football, anytime football ever needs somebody to help out during games, he's the first one to say, "Yep, I'll be there," and you can always count on him for chain gang, you can count on Mary for the snack bar. They just step up all the time, so you're definitely a dynamic duo, so congratulations, Mary, and thank you both for being so committed to our community and community service. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is your report done?
Yes.
Okay, cool. We are going to go ahead and move back to 7C, student representative. I'm glad you could make it.
Thank you. I apologize for being late. We were actually at High Desert's track league finals. We were cheering them on. And that kind of opens up my report with their league finals was today. Runners and field events, they all did amazing. A lot of medals. It was just great to see them do well in their sport. Because we are approaching the end of the year, the things that I can report on are slowly decreasing in size, so it's mostly just save the dates. So tomorrow is grad night for our seniors. They'll be going to Universal Studios. May 31st is Night of the Stars at our school. And then lastly, graduation will be June 7th. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much for going to support High Desert. I bet they just love that. That's really important. Thank you. 7E, request to remove COVID-19 report from correspondence proposals and reports. Can I get a motion?
I'll move.
I'll second. Discussion?
Well, I just think that it's effective that we keep it on our mind, even though we're removing it from our bi-monthly report, we still need to maintain safety and care with our students to make sure everybody's safe, so that it's no problem with me.
Any other discussion?
You got anything? We were required to put this on the agenda by, my understanding is the state, if not the state, at least LACO. And as long as it was on the agenda, I remember people were coming in and following the track of some other agencies. It would be like, okay, well, I see mandated vaccinations coming on and things like that, and that was never the intent of this board. In fact, I made a couple comments that said, if it never hits the light of day on the agenda, the superintendent can announce things, but as if the stuff doesn't get moved in or a second, it dies on the vine. It has always bothered me that it's been on here. Is it something that has fallen off the LACO radar? I know at work we've pulled up all the signs, we've put up all the stickers, the HR department has advised everyone that there are no more COVID leaves and associated things like that. So has that been the directive from LACO?
LACO hasn't provided a specific directive. They've left it up to the specific LEAs to go ahead and adopt whether or not to continue reporting or not.
So it's your recommendation that we don't need this anymore?
Correct.
Perfect, thank you.
No further discussion, call for question? All those in favor?
Tim Jarvis and I.
Mask on.
Paul's your aye.
Brianna Taxoni, aye. So we will just scratch 7F.
Yes, Ms. Taxoni, I don't have a COVID report for this evening. Thank you.
Beautiful. That was fun. 7G, submissions.
No submissions this evening for the board. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to 8, board comments. Tim?
Okay, so I got to catch up from the last board meeting, which was certificated appreciation, and we recognized our classified, but I told them they had to wait till this week. So I want to recognize all of our classified employees, the ones that keep our campus, our facilities running, the curb appeal, the buses, the cleaning. They do a tremendous amount of work. The teachers really appreciate them. I know I did when I was working, that I always had reliability that my classroom was going to be in the best of conditions coming in the next day. So hats off to all of our classified employees, and thanks for your hard work. Then the next one I want to do is I want to recognize and shout out to the Acton Women's Club. We went to their recognition, and sitting there waiting in anticipation of how they were going to recognize their seniors that had applied for their scholarship program. And we were sitting there, and when they announced the amount, it was kind of, oh, everybody woke up because it was significant. And all of the recipients were just incredible young students, very articulate, recognizing, having good ambition. Mrs. Owens is in here, one of our lifelong educators over at the high school, and I know that she plants the seed with these students so that by the time they get ready to go, that they're envisioning what they're going to do when they get to college, no matter where it's like trade school, going to a university, going to a private school, going to a junior college. It makes no difference. The money that the Acton Women's Club gathered together to help those students out is immeasurable. I want to extend our heartfelt appreciation for the hard work they've done for our community and our students. Year-end achievements, as Emily says, that the events are whittling down. The AP exams are over. How many did you take? Only one? Okay, next time will be 2. But we know that they worked hard for that. The testing is done. There's a few finals to be wrapped up. But to all of our campuses, congratulations to our students for their continued hard work through the difficult year. And then congratulations again to our teachers for bringing our students forward. And lastly, this week is Memorial Weekend. Though I don't have anybody in my family that passed in the events of that would qualify them for recognition. I know that my dad was a POW, and so anybody who has people, family members, and just appreciation of anybody in general this weekend to think about all the men and women that have worked hard to support us so that we can do what we do here for the next generation. Thank you.
I wanted to do something a little bit different tonight. We had a printout that we did, and if anybody's read a book called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, there's actually a nice little section there that goes into kind of what a high-performing team looks like and the behaviors and things that would fit to a high-performing team. So I'm going to use my board member comments to describe this. My fellow board members, you do have a copy of this. I'll pass one down to Tim. You can also view it as an attachment in the chat if you're listening in on Zoom. But it really goes through a pyramid of what you need to have in place for your team to be functional. And we exhibit a lot of these behaviors here in this district, and we have good leadership that helps us get there to do that. The superintendent and his team. So first, we need trust. Everyone has to trust each other. When you trust each other, your team will ask for help, will share weaknesses, and they'll believe in each other. If you don't have trust, then you have people that hide mistakes, they make assumptions, they hold grudges. So trust is the basic foundation. Next, believe it or not, you need conflict. You need healthy conflicts. You need your team to have healthy debates. You need to work out solutions with each other together. You need to challenge poor behavior quickly. If you don't have healthy conflict, then you basically get false harmony, or just some weird harmony where no one challenges each other, you don't confront issues, behaviors, you avoid problems, etc. If you have trust and you have good, healthy conflicts, then you can land at a place where you just might have commitment to what you're trying to accomplish. You'll have clear objectives and priorities, you'll have group buy-in from your team, and you'll have fully engaged team members. If you don't have commitment or you have a lack of commitment, you'll just keep discussing the same thing over and over. People will not commit to the work, and you'll have unclear objectives and priorities. If you can get through the trust and you can have the conflict and you can land at a place where you have commitment, then you have a really good shot of having accountability. When you have accountability, poor performance is dealt with quickly. Team standards are the same for all, and people understand and own what their work is. If you don't have accountability, then poor performance is tolerated. You have a lack of ownership from the team, and objectives are constantly missed. But again, if you have trust, you go through the conflict, which can be uncomfortable, you arrive at commitment, you have accountability, then what you will get is results. And I believe that's where we're heading as well as a district. With a highly motivated team, a stable team, consistently hitting objectives, and focused on team results. But without a focus or a commitment to results, then you'll have high team turnover. You'll have poor performers, and people will be focused on their own results and not the team. So I love what we've been doing with the strategic planning. I love where all of that's heading, and I think that we're doing a good job building this pyramid. But if everybody can keep in mind what we need to have in place to be able to be a high-performing team, whether you're at the school district, whether you're a member of the community, whether you're on a PTSO or whatever it is, these principles will constantly need to be looked at and be in place.
Thank you, Les. Okay, ditto on what Tim said about the Acton Women's Club. I get confused sometimes about Acton. I get confused sometimes whether I'm in Acton or Agua Dulce, but they both do wonderful things. I went to the celebration, and the dollar amounts are getting to the point where it's half of what it would take you to go to UCLA for a year, and I was just very impressed with that. I learned a new word today called colloquium, I guess. I visited this event, which was basically I learned, you have to remember, I don't float the sites in the capacity of a board member. You will not see me running around the school sites imparting what I think is a board member, whatever. I don't run people there. I don't tell people what to do there. I go when I'm invited. You'll have a member of the executive team with me, or I'm in talking or seeing about one of my children. That's my role. I don't impart what I do on the school sites. Always remember that. But I was invited to this today, oh, by the way, there's a play we need to be invited to next Thursday and Friday at 9 a.m. So I learned about this, but we were invited to sit at a table in which you have a model here. We talk about building what the district is and what its culture is and what its flavor is. And this program has teachers who are veteran teachers here, bringing on people who are working on their credential or young in their teaching career. And there's a mentoring program, and it seems to be very highly structured and measurable. I got to share the table with Ms. Wern, Ms. O'Brien, Ms. Scheidig, and Kim Shaw. And they were talking about the program, what they did. And I had a question for them as a board member and as a parent, and going back into my childhood. I asked each one of the teachers or younger teachers being mentored earlier in their career and said, can you tell me about a time where you know that outside of reading and writing and math and all that you teach people, did you touch somebody? Tell me about the kid that you think you changed their life by being the person you are. And I heard some wonderful stories, and in my world, there are some kids that are just blessed. We have a few of them in the audience, but there are some kids that are not blessed and struggle. And those kids need a hero. And the purpose of education is to prepare kids for more education and an independent adult life where you're successful and you fit into society. And you can teach people math and reading and the rest of it all day long, but unless you give them the confidence and identity that they're a unique individual that's valuable, you end up with people that are broken as adults. And then you get chronic underemployment, substance abuse, all kinds of things. So the heroes are the teachers, and they all do it. And you have to challenge them to find the times they did. I should put Ms. Owens on the spot, because I know one kid that you influenced highly. And there's, I'm sure, thousands. But the important part of this to me was the teachers that were able to say, yeah, there was that one kid, and I think by the end of the year, and it's interesting to track those kids if you could, to find out what impact that moment had. That made me very happy. That's why I sit up here. I went to the Antelope Valley School Boards Association meeting the other night, and the program was canceled. The speaker couldn't make it, so they brought in somebody from Capital Partners, who is a finance firm whose job it is to track budgets and tax rates and all that kind of thing for the state of California. And at the end, they were kind of painting out a picture that doesn't look like we're going to keep getting more and more money. It's going to tighten up a little bit, depending on whether they take the COLA this year and make it 8 point something, or cut it back to 4, because that's cumulative.
All right.
So I think the word was cumulative. If you get a 10% raise this year instead of a 4% raise this year, next year's comparable starts getting less. And so I heard about that, but there's something that I follow in this district very closely, and those are liabilities to the budget that could affect all kids. And one of those areas you hear me giving speeches on is special education. And sometimes it sounds like I'm targeting my own child. But at the end of the day, simple mistakes in special education can create huge liabilities where there are placements that will cost you $250,000 a year. And the last I heard, every kid that comes in here, we get $11,000 for, not $250,000. So it doesn't take too much, and too many of these drop the ball cases in SPED to eat up an enrollment change of, what do we bring on this year? 1.2 million in additional enrollment. And so I watched that very carefully. And what's happening at the state level is there's something called the SELPA, Special Education Local Plan Area, and that's kind of the entity that disperses funds to local districts. So they're starting to take, gave this board credit for a lot of different programs that are starting to drop into place. This board has no place for any credit in any of that. None of us, not one of us, and not anybody that's ever sat up here. The only thing we can take credit for, some of us, is that we hired this person, and I think this person comes from a place where there's some progressive programs that are norms that we didn't have here because probably we didn't have the funding to have it here. And so nearly everything you heard Mr. Sparks mention and give us credit for, we deserve no credit. And when it comes time to this gentleman taking credit, he can't take much credit because he just put the idea out there, got the funding for it. These programs that Mr. Sparks referenced would be a complete failure without the staff that are out there engaging and enlisting and making these programs work on a daily basis. That has nothing to do with him or me. I hope everyone understands that. When it comes to the raises that were given, there's a collective bargaining team. There is the union, the association people. They ask for what they want. They look around. They see what the trends are. They're reasonable. We have a team. This board has absolutely nothing to do with collective bargaining, and you'll hear me chirp up if someone challenges me to be free with the money. I don't talk about collective bargaining while it's going on. It's not appropriate. But what I will say is, again, this board has absolutely nothing to do with the collective bargaining process and how it worked out. The success that Mr. Sparks speaks to and the happiness he seems to show and the observations he showed are based on the work of both teams. And I think those teams are smart enough to understand that whatever they come up with, LACO has to approve so it doesn't debilitate the district's budget for the education of children in this district, and LACO has done that. So again, don't thank the board, don't thank the superintendent, it's the negotiation teams, both the association and the district's association teams. And in my world, now that it was over, it was very smooth, the whole process. I didn't have to do anything. So don't give me credit for something I don't do. I want to talk about sports in two areas. First off, if you go back, I wish sometimes we could have a Google Street View on our facilities, because if you go back 5 or 6 years, the gym at High Desert looks nothing like it did today. Stickers and flags had an effect on how people see things. And I have said numerous times, our maintenance team is the shining star of this district. I went back there today, all those buildings are painted. Everything is done. There is only one thing, I'm an ops guy, I find things wrong. I looked up at the ceiling, there's one tile missing out of the ceiling. That is the only thing I could see at High Desert School. I'm sure the man lift to fix it would cost $15,000 in rental, but I mean, pristine. So the sports program is building, no doubt. Our sports program, sorry Tim, this is no reflection on you, but our sports program was dying at the high school 3 years ago. So whatever's happening at High Desert is moving along very quickly, and that has nothing to do with this board unless we paid the $5 each that it took to get in the game. Again, nothing to do with us, nothing to do with him. Now let's talk about something I can do something about. When I talk about the strategic plan, I want to make something very clear. When I'm at work, if there's a problem, especially with a contractor, I'm good at making confetti out of contracts if you don't do what I ask you to do, but per the terms of your contract. I'm good at it. And I don't get many Valentine's Day cards, but I'm good at it. So when you bring problems into me, I tell my people at work, when you move your problem up to my level, I'll fix it for you, but you better enjoy the way I fix it because you couldn't fix it. So when people come in here, and I have coaches that I never hear a word from, they got trophies. They're the success that we're talking about at High Desert. Those kids move up and somebody has to stand up there and say, we can't get a bus. Well, I'll bring you in here. I'll help you get your bus here. So my understanding about that situation was in September, there was one issue. In October, there were 2 issues. And in November, there were 2 issues. One of those issues struck me in a bad way. Somebody took our kids up through a mountain pass or something, weaving all over the place, and you got kids throwing up when the bus gets there and feeling they were in danger. I'm sorry, if I bring you in here and rip you a new one, I'm going to do it again. It sounds to me like maybe I need to do that one more time. But if I got 6 months of somebody having buses show up, and 6 months later somebody wants to blame me for one bus not showing up, in my world that's called effectiveness. Again, I won't get any Valentine's Day cards because of that, and I don't expect to. But when you come in here and you tell me you have a problem and it's that serious, I start looking at things like, what are you telling me? I told you I don't impact the situation at the sites. Nobody comes to me very often and wants me to change things. They'll call me and say, hey, I have a concern. But when you come in here, I get confused. Are we insulting that person, this person? Or are we telling me that they can't do the job to the point where I'm going to step in? Well, I'm going to take up the challenge. So, bus guy, maybe I should call you tomorrow. Number 1, find out where that bus was. And number 2, maybe apologize to you, but find a nicer way to tell you, you need to have this bus here, or your contract needs to be torn in half. I want to talk a little bit about the sports complex. There is a strategic plan going on. In my world, a strategic plan, can you go back to the superintendent's report, please? Right there. What these numbers are, is every time you see this coming up on the agenda, those numbers go back to a plank in the existing strategic plan. So the idea was you develop a strategic plan. It's based on what the community says. We have very qualified people participate in the community. The superintendent, you heard him this evening, congratulate everybody and speak to their competence. So this comes forward, and he's required to report out on anything. So I just don't want to hear a bunch of names and have people, oh yeah, they're nice people. I want to know where the rubber is hitting the road here. So the strategic plan is being updated. I'll see it when it gets up here. We'll talk about it. And within that strategic plan, my expectation from the world I live in, you should be able to take that strategic plan and apply it to just about anything in this district, whether it's facilities maintenance, sports, education, or whatever. And I'm going to be looking to find out where sports fits into this. And if this board goes through this properly, we'll be able to say, what commitment is this district making to the growth we see in sports? It's undeniable. So when we see that, then we start talking about things. We have a DSA approved plan. It's probably aged out. It costs $1 million to do engineering nowadays, but I will ask, what would the cost of this program be, and where does it fit in the budget? And I'll get Kevin up here. You know how I am with this budget discussions. I'll have him live punch numbers in, pull numbers out. And we will have an intelligent discussion in public about what this sports complex looks like. The bleachers are terrible. The lights were put in, I think Tim rented a U-Haul from Texas and then got DSA coming in. You didn't do that. You didn't do this. You didn't give us your permit money. You didn't do that. But I want to incorporate sports or whatever it is within that plan so the community knows when the superintendent reports on something in sports, it's not just clapping hands because somebody won a trophy. Our kids win trophies. That's a given. I want to know what's happening with the facility. Mr. Sparks, you have never, ever been so complimentary of the entire team as you were tonight, but your compliments need to be back in the mirror. He was named Teacher of the Year, if I heard the gossip right today. He didn't say that, but he gave us a lot of credit. If you need to tear me up for cussing out a bus driver, you go ahead and do that, but I very much appreciate the compliments you handed out to our leadership team tonight. You were very gracious, and I thank you for that. Thank you, Lester. That's good. Sorry it took so much time.
Okay, first, Lester for president. No, my very first comments, I wanted to congratulate Mr. Sparks on his Teacher of the Year. I'm glad Ken mentioned it first because I only saw it on social media, so I hope I wasn't spilling the beans anywhere. Compliment him and congratulate him tonight because he's so deserving. So congratulations, Coach Sparks. The Acton Women's Club. That is a group of women that work so darn hard to just give back to our community. They handed out $35,000 in scholarships. $35,000 of money that they have fundraised for and they have earned. And that's not the only thing that they continue to give to our students. They just contribute all over town to our kids and to our youth. They also gave a donation that same day at the scholarship ceremony. They gave a donation to our handbells program. So just the amount of time and energy that they put into giving away money is just absolutely incredible. So thank you to the Acton Women's Club. That was so very generous. And congratulations to our seniors for being awarded and earning that scholarship. I wanted to thank Nicole Chun and Kim Shaw for the invitation to the new teacher induction colloquium. That was a really neat event to be at. I didn't know what I was expecting. I didn't know what I was walking into, if it was a ceremony or if it was, I had no idea what we were walking into, but it was well worth spending the afternoon with our veteran teachers and our new teachers. And so thank you very much, and thank you to all of the teachers that are mentoring the newbies. And we definitely have some good ones. Definitely some good ones. I'm excited to watch where their career takes them, and I really hope they stick around in our district. So thank you very much for that invite. That was a good time. ASMO, I did get to go to the High Desert talent show and ASMO performance. So it was very fun in our beautiful High Desert gym. Super fun to watch those kids. Some of them are incredibly talented. Some of them are really funny. Watching student skits and teacher skits, definitely a good time. So thank you to High Desert ASB for putting on the talent show, and then ASMO for also putting on that 5-6 ASMO performance. It was a fun night. I did not get to attend the Meadowlark performance, but I heard it was just beautiful at Vasquez. So congratulations to Meadowlark and ASMO for putting on a great end of the year ASMO show there. I didn't get to go to that because it was my little guy's champion baseball game. Can't miss that. But I will say, Mr. Rowland showed up to the championship game because a couple of our players are in his class. The way that people treat Mr. Rowland is like celebrity status. People were coming from other fields because they heard Mr. Rowland was watching baseball. So we had people and taking pictures with him, and his students were playing on the team, but also our coach was one of his students, and I was one of his students, and other parents that have kids playing there were students. And the relationship that he has with all of us, plus my kids, plus the parents that were in his class. So, you know, there's generations of people that he has affected all of our lives. You know, just coming to one baseball game, I guarantee you those kids will never forget it. So I just wanted to send a shout out to Mr. Rowland for taking the time to come and support his kids playing their championship game. They were definitely proud to play in front of their teacher. So huge shout out to him for making that happen. And that's all I have.
Brianna,
Yes.
may I?
Okay.
Sorry, guys. When I was rambling on about SPED, again, Miss Owens and Miss Aislinn, is that it? Good. I was able to come to a little performance that was happening in just the classroom on any given day with the arts program. And they were, it actually made me like rap music, believe that or not. But, guys, in all seriousness, do you know that every kid that's like my daughter, or just a little bit more cognitive, that we ship out of this district, we put those kids on a bus for 2.5 hours, 3 hours a day, we send them somewhere else, and this district pays whoever they're going to $40,000, $65,000 apiece. Y'all get $11,000 apiece. So there's a pattern to what I'm talking to. There's a classroom over there now. It's called a life skills program. It's different from something else. And this was, again, quiet. Nobody put it together, but we have a teacher that has a life skills specialty. We have an aide or two that's dealing with people that are highly cognitively limited. We have a classroom there now, and that means nothing unless the campus is inclusive. So my daughter comes in, y'all made her a part of it, you found her a role. It seems that she was participating, was having fun. But I can take another parent and say, what are you gaining by putting the kid on the bus? Did you win something? Did your lawyer win something because somebody didn't have an IEP on time, or the assessment, you didn't like what the district's assessor said? I actually have a product now that I can tell another parent, don't stress your kid out on the bus. Don't take resources from the other kids that are actually supporting your kid. Take a look in that room. See what's there. This is as good as anything you have. We're not ready to service everybody. We're not a medical unit. We're not a behavioral unit. But they sure do good enough for me. And I'm very proud of your program. And something else that needs to happen is everybody needs to understand that the portfolios of the kids in the VAPA program, which is part of the community that got together and put the Arts Council together, and I think there were some people in here that run the steering committee, both of y'all. And that's a product of this. And I'm glad that we're able to support the budget for that. I think it's later in the agenda, but thank you. This is where reality hits. Thank you. Good.
Okay, moving on to 9A, approval of consent calendar items. Can I get a motion?
I'll move.
Second.
The consent calendar items include 8B through 8D as submitted. Any changes?
There are no changes. Thank you.
Discussion?
Maybe we're going to pull anything.
Call for question, all in favor?
Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Mask on.
Falls drop by.
Brianna Taxoni, aye. 10A, personnel action report. Can I get a motion?
Move.
Second.
No changes to the report.
Thank you. Discussion?
I just have one question for Ms. Shaw. For these coaching opportunities that we have that remain unfilled, are you aware, do we use the CIF Southern Section Coaches Wanted on their homepage that is no cost to us?
I don't know the answer to that.
It's an opportunity for us to I know you do work with Ed Join and all that stuff, which is fine, but it's another opportunity to alert people in the community that go to the sports and check this, and it's a free service that just coaches wanted, and they have games wanted. There's a whole page on there that can list them, and it doesn't cost us anything to help us fill some of these coaching positions if we don't have anybody on staff that wants to take it.
And I can check with Sheldon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Call for question, all those in favor?
Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Mask on.
Paul Giamatti, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye. 10B, Memorandum of Understanding between University of Southern California, Susan Dvorak Peck School of Social Work and Acton Algodose Unified School District. Can I get a motion?
Move.
I'll set, Lester?
As part of the mental health demonstration grant that we were awarded as a district from the U.S. Department of Ed, in the scope of work, we embedded USC School of Social Work to send their Masters of Social Work interns from their program to our district as a field work site for the 23-24 school year. A licensed clinical social worker or two will be the ones supervising their field work here for the district. This is a recommendation to the board to approve the MOU between Acton Algodose Unified as well as USC School of Social Work. Please.
Discussion? Call for question, all those in favor?
Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Mask on.
Paul Giamatti, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye. 11A, Strategic Arts Plan Progress and Recommendations for 2023-2024.
I'll move.
Second.
So we have the pleasure of hearing a presentation on the arts plan progress and recommendations for the next academic year from our interim arts TOSA, Ms. Carrie Owens. So thank you to Ms. Carrie Owens for taking the charge and the heavy lift for this current academic year. I want to also thank the collective arts participants, some of whom are here with us tonight, Tracy Costin, and I want to give a special thank you, of course. I know she's pointing at me, but I did not I'm pointing at Aislinn, but I want to go ahead and share. Aislinn, thank you for your dedication from day one, for the inception with the whole LA Arts Collective, the drafting of the plan and what is really important to the student body for the district, for the LA Arts Plan. So thank you, Aislinn, from the district to you. And without further ado, Ms. Carrie Owens, the floor is yours.
All right, I have really tired eyes, so I have to get a lot closer. Okay, so
25 font.
whatever. All right, so all of you guys. So we had the strategic arts plan. We spent a year, not this past year, but the year before, figuring out a strategic arts plan, and we worked really hard. There was a large group of us. You guys approved it. So what I wanted to do is basically kind of give you guys, what have we done this past year and where are we? So when we look through this, you'll see things in bold. So the things in bold are exactly from that strategic arts plan, and then the rest is, this is what we've done. So the strategic art plan was created in a year-long process. We don't need to go that. You guys can read it. Go ahead. All right, so the first thing was to access and assess and purchase equipment. So we worked together as a group. We had maintenance there. We had Asan at the time. And we started with kind of our big things, which was, we went from place to place to see what our sound system was like. So Meadowlark needed a new one. So that's what we started with, was the Meadowlark new sound system. And then Vasquez really needed equipment and supplies to support our existing programs, which were culinary and yearbook, and then our new intro to visual and performing arts and digital design. So we purchased things like cameras, new culinary equipment, And then the next one was to apply for the advancement grant, which we did. And so we applied and completed everything from last year's advancement grant, so our final report has also been submitted. And additionally, I did the advancement grant for next year as well, so hopefully we will get that advancement grant as well. So the next one was to set aside funds for VAPA field trips. So that was one of the things that, talking to the teachers, like emailing the teachers in the district, they hadn't gone on field trips forever. So they didn't know really what they needed to do for field trips. So I sent out field trip, the information, this is what you need to do. And we had field trips across all of the schools. So every school had at least one visual and performing arts field trip. So that ranged from going to the Nutcracker to, we went to the Getty and at the high school. So it was really good across the board. And we did, I was really committed to having it be a situation where no child paid a penny to go on a field trip. That's super important to me, the whole equity and inclusion, not one kid. So we set it up so that lunches were provided from our cafeterias. So it really was a whole school district thing, getting these kids to these field trips. And then also, I can say for our Getty field trip, we had students that ranged from SDC all the way to AP kids, a wide range of kids. So we're hitting all of our kids that are a resource that maybe wouldn't have that experience normally. The next one is to identify a district arts TOSA. Well, we've had our TOSA position open all year, again and again. At the beginning of the school year, when we didn't find a person who was qualified, I said, hey, until we can get one, I'm not letting this drop because we've worked way too hard for this to drop. So I am doing it during my prep period and during after school for things like this, meetings like this. So I think for us having me on doing a full-time position part-time, we've done really well. I'm very proud of our whole strategic arts group. Then the implement board-approved makerspace, that was actually, I haven't done a whole lot with that, but that was actually opened at Meadowlark back in the fall. Okay? So another shared designated spaces across all three sites. We haven't done that as much as we probably could, but again, we have stuff like Meadowlark using the Vasquez sites. But one of the things we've really done, Michelle and I talked a lot about doing things that were Vasquez and High Desert. So when we did the Arts Day, it was at High Desert, but we had our Vasquez students come and assist, and one of our Vasquez students actually even presented art. So, actually two, because they work together. So it was a really good cross-school district thing. The next one was expand and create the music and theater class at the high school level. Well, what we did is we didn't have enough students for theater or for music, so they started the intro to visual and performing arts class, and we do it all. We do arts, we do music, we do rap, we do it all. And I've been very proud of my kids because I challenge them. I mean, I have artists who are phenomenal at art, quiet kids, they really don't want to perform, but they've stepped out of their comfort zone. And I've got my theater kids who love to perform, but maybe art was not their wheelhouse and doing fantastic at school. So we're talking from your GATE kids to your SDC kids, everybody. And it was very well received. The surveys we did for that, the kids loved it, absolutely loved it. Even the kids, even when they weren't necessarily in a arts that they were familiar with and really had planned on going to, they still loved it. They still thought it was great. And the next one was implement the arts integration focused on theater. So we polled the students because having the students in my VAPA class, out of my class of 17, I had one theater kid. That was my one theater kid. And all of the rest were in art. And so I went back to the strategic arts group and I said, I think we need to change our focus from theater because that's not where the interest is. And, you know, we polled kids all across the district and art. It was art, 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 art. So because of that, we actually hired the district art teacher who this year worked at Meadowlark and will be going to other schools next year as well. And so that's what we did on that. We kind of tweaked, but that's what we did there. So one of the things too is there's a teal training, which is it's very in depth, and it is integration. Basically, it is training us to train teachers not to necessarily teach art as a single thing, but to integrate art, all the arts, within the elementary curriculum. So, so there were two of us that went to the training, and then Amanda Sullivan, when we added her, I believe she's also starting the teal modules, and they are very, very extensive. I mean, they take hours and hours to do. But hopefully, we'll be able to do some professional development and get to where the arts are not just the art teacher, but they are really being integrated, not enhanced. Enhanced is like, hey, I do art, make it, you know, integrated, where you're saying, this is how you do this art thing, and this is how it goes within my curriculum. Okay, so we've been working on that. The next is to increase communication between Acton and Agua Dulce Arts Council and the district. So Aislinn has been a student representative for the Acton and Agua Dulce Arts Council. It's a little difficult because their meeting times is the exact same time her school time is. So so that's one of the things we've done. And also, like for example, we're going to be showing our portfolios, and the Acton and Agua Dulce Arts Council had volunteered to let us use their displays. It's just a matter of us trying to get them to Vasquez. We're working on that. But hopefully we'll be able to use their displays to kind of display things a little bit better for that. I'm not going to read all of the different things because you guys have access to this. All right, so these are the items that are in process. So determine the skills and asset within the community by disseminating a survey. So again, I'm an interim, so so I've done this in a, we haven't done it really in a formal way, where we're actively looking for people and putting that out to the community. But what we've done is in a very informal way. So those people on the Strategic Arts Committee, they've actually given me names. We've had a person that does costumes in our Intro to VAPA class. We've had a photographer. We've had a watercolor paint person come in and do that. In addition to the Arts Day at High Desert that did all of that. So so that's a kind of a work in progress. So not formally yet, but we have informally done that. And then recent research and identify career pathway resources. So again, when Michelle and I were talking, because she had career days, when I said, hey, if you can, try to get some art-centered ones in there too, and she said, I can do that. So, and then create a standards-based learning map for each grade level cluster. We're going to talk about that in a second coming up. So, okay, so some fantastic things we did this year. I kind of already hit on most of these. But we funded the current programs. We had 3 teachers in the TEAL program. We offered professional development for arts integration. The Arts Day and art instruction exposure was given to all the students, including Title I and special education. And then new art experiences were at all school sites, whether that be Art Day or Intro to VAPA classes or our actual art teacher going there as well. Okay, so what we've done is because we have this great art teacher, we have no art curriculum. So we went through the process of approving an art curriculum. So the state of California has only 2 approved art curriculums. So we did not look at any that were not state of California approved art curriculums. So we looked at 2, which were the Art of Education and Davis Publication. So this is kind of our timeline that we went through for that. And we had public viewing, we had the committee recommendations, and you guys can see the dates and everything. And then we used this evaluation criteria, which is the standard evaluation criteria for the art. Okay, and then these were all of the people that were involved. Now, with that said, I had sent out a message to all the Meadowlark teacher, well, Adina, because she's there, she had sent a message to all the Meadowlark teachers. These were the only ones who said that they were willing to and wanted to be part of the process. And at with the 5th, 6th, the 5th grade teachers, this was at the time that they had 5th grade, a lot of turnover, people out. So they weren't able to be part of the process. But that was the team. So this is what we recommended. So what we recommended was the Art of Education as the primary art curriculum for PK through 6th grade. But to also have the Art of Education as a supplement for those Intro to VAPA classes. Because right now, any of the arts that my kids get, I am not an art teacher. I have a background in music. I have a bachelor's of arts in English and drama, but art is not my strength. But this Art of Education has this great resource where you can go in and go, I want to do something with pencil. You do pencil, it searches everything, every art thing that has pencil, and then you can go, okay, this one's a beginner, this one's immediate, this one's advanced, my kids can do this, I can do this. It also has a search where you can go, science. I want all of the things, the ones that are science. You could do, I want science, where I can only use pencil, and it'll pull up it does a search for all of the resources for that. So it would be a great supplement for that, for those classes as well. And additionally, at the PK through 6th grade, it would also be ideal for the regular teachers, the general ed teachers, to use for that, the articulation of the art, okay, the integration of the art. Because again, they can just search, I'm doing math and I want to do math with acrylics. And it'll search just those things. I'm tired, so if I'm like going too fast, you guys got to tell me, but okay, so then the next steps in the timeline. So these are our recommendations, is to purchase the Art of Education art curriculum, okay? Because again, we don't want to have an art teacher with no art curriculum, because if you do that, they don't have enough structure to really create a program our goal is to have a PK through 12 eventually plan of art, and then music, and then theater. Do you guys get that? So it's not just, so anyone could pick it up and go, hey, I'm 5th grade, I should be reinforcing this or teaching this. Okay, so that's the thing, to review the school's art budget requests, and you'll see those in a little bit, to budget for the school's art budgets, to the schools to do a requisition for the art items, and you'll see that in a second, and then continue the strategic arts plan. So, go ahead and put the next one. So this is the material cost for that art program. So I have, there's a 1-term, there's a 3-term, there's a 5-term. So I have all of them included. So we're going to go over the 1-term, so I'll explain like what the different things are. The 3-term and the 5-term, it's just the same, except for they have discounted for 3 years, discounted for 5 years, but it's the same components. So the first component is a site license for Meadowlark and High Desert. So that would be all teachers at Meadowlark and all teachers at High Desert were able to access. Because again, we don't want it just for the art teacher. We want art integration through for all of the teachers, that ability to access these things, this curriculum. And then the curriculum suite at Vasquez, that would be like for one person, for the intro to VAPA class. So that person, which happens to be me, will have access to these art things. So instead of me going, hey kids, this is what we have on YouTube, we can have a more structured program. And then the next one is the intentional curriculum design. So as I said, our strategic arts plan, this is not just a throw it at the wall and walk away. This is we want a set plan. So this course, what it does is it helps develop a PK through 12, basically, so think like a pacing guide, but through years. So a plan that goes through all of the years, and it helps, and that's why I said 3 teachers. Doesn't have to be me, it could be hopefully the new TOSA if we get one. But it would just be 3 different people that would work together to get a district plan that goes PK through 12 for art. Okay, that would include the actual art teacher plus art integration in the regular classes as well. So that's what that component is. And again, go ahead, you can click through. And so that's the 3-year cost. And again, the same exact components. And then go ahead. And then that's the 5-year cost for the same components. Okay, go ahead. Okay, so this is the High Desert's requested arts budget. Okay, so you'll see, remember that this would include Prop 28 funding, if any Prop 28 funding. It would include, if we get that advancement grant funding. So this is how this was developed. So first of all, Michelle and I sat down together and I said, okay, what kind of things would you be looking at? And she had these fantastic ideas and things that she's like, yes, I definitely want this. So then we figured out, well, what would the approximate costs be for these things? And then we got input from Emma on some of the things, and we did some tweaking. So that is there. So again, you can kind of see, and again, this is approximation. We definitely wants to do art days, definitely wants to do field trips for each of the class levels. And then some of these costs are so high because we're counting as if we had to have charter buses. So it's significantly more expensive if we have to do charter buses. So that's why it's fairly high. And then one of the things that she wanted to do, we have a fantastic art guy who came to the school and taught the kids art, and they did, I wanted to say falcon, it's not a falcon, it's a hawk. They did a big, beautiful hawk, and again, the kids had an active role in doing the actual painting of the hawk. So what she wants to do is to do the, is it 4 character? I'm asking. 5, 6, okay, I'm way off on my numbers. That's why I'm an English teacher. So it's the 6 different character traits that were the Medal of Honor, correct? The Medal of Honor character traits with that same artist. So the kids were involved in making the art and doing those around. So that's what the 15,000 is. So that's pricey, but man, it'll make that school look good, and it's character building and everything else. So you guys can see the numbers. I did this separate too on some of them. So that you guys should be able to look at this on another thing. Go ahead. All right, so Vasquez's requested budget. There is a spreadsheet that gives the exact on this, but when I put it on here, it was really teeny, and I knew we wouldn't be able to see it. So materials and equipment for the Intro to VAPA class, that's art supplies. We currently have 1 guitar. We want to get 2 more acoustic and 2 electric guitars. Right now, I'm bringing in my own guitar to have kids play, which I don't mind doing, but I have kids, even in my regular English classes now, who are coming to me going, hey, Miss Owens, will you teach us how to play guitar at lunch? And I was like, okay. So I have a kid coming in. So it would be nice to have more guitars. I have very limited guitar. I can teach the basics, but we have Mr. Brown, who is far better at guitar, and he was like, yeah, we can make a rock band. I'm like, okay, we'll open my door, we'll just rock out. So yeah, so we have it, which is why we need to add guitars. Field trips, again, the field trip costs, it depends on if we get charter buses. And then yearbook wanted to, right now, the yearbook, if a kid is a senior, they have to pay William Edwards $25? Do you know, honey, how much?
For the basic package.
Yeah, so to get their yearbook picture, they have to pay $25 to get that. Well, Mrs. Stillwell had a fantastic idea. She said, if we buy the equipment to take those portraits, our seniors won't have to pay a dime. And I'm like, I'm all in, because as I said, I don't like the kids having to pay for stuff like that. So that's where that is. That's what that is, because we got they got cameras and lenses and stuff last year. And then Arts Afternoon, so when I was talking to the kids about the High Desert Arts Day, they were super excited. They're like, why can't we do that? And so I talked to the counselor, and we're going to do a monthly different arts thing. So once a month, there will be, they'll be able to sign up with the counselor, and during 5th and 6th period, they will do whichever art. So maybe it's guitar one day, maybe it's acrylics, maybe it's watercolor. It depends. So each month will be a different one. So that's for that cost. And there are some really good acrylic artists who came to Art Day and who have done other things, who are fairly inexpensive for what they do. And that's for us to pay. Mostly it will be like volunteers, but that will be for us to occasionally pay professionals to come in to do that. And that also included our, we would need sub-pay for 1 hour, because I would supervise. I'd have my VAPA class do whatever it was for my regular class. Okay, so that's what those prices are. So that's the total of there. Now Meadowlark was going to work directly with Kevin on their budget, so I'm not sure with everything going on there that they got a chance to do that. That's why I don't have theirs. And then, okay, so now we go, okay, so what's on our next year's strategic arts thing? So all of these are directly from that strategic arts plan for next year. Okay, so the first thing was purchase and maintain equipment. So that, you guys already saw what we had for that. The next was to designate continuous funding for expanding staff of arts teachers, of the arts teacher, and that's ongoing. And again, we already have an art teacher, so we're doing well with that. And then determine needs of the arts program based on phase 1. So I told you guys what that is. It's to get that arts curriculum. And then hire an additional music or theater performing arts teacher. So maybe that's not something we're going to be able to do next year. Maybe it's something that at the end or beginning of the year we can go, okay, what do we have? Where do we, what do we have going on? So there we are there, and hire a part-time rotating visual art teacher. We already did that. That was done this past year. And I'm glad we did, because with this Prop 28 fund, we got our art teacher before anyone else posted. Because right now, art teachers, because Prop 28 funding, 80% of that funding has to be personnel. So right now, a lot of school districts are trying to find arts and performing arts people, because they're like, well, 80% has to go to that. So we've already done, that's already been done. I install storage for instrument supplies and sheet music. So in the, that's not a need for Vasquez, because we've got plenty of supplies and stuff, but in the high desert, part of their estimate did include those things. And then keep makerspace updated and well-stocked. And again, that's an ongoing. Develop a visual arts curriculum that aligns with standards across the grade levels. So I talked to you guys about that program, that if we purchase that, that will help us to do exactly that. And then continue and sustain media arts at the high school, that's ongoing. And provide arts integrated learning experiences in theater and visual TK through 12. And again, if we buy that arts program, because it does have that super easy search component, it will be easy to do that as well. So again, these are the things that are on that plan that you all approved going into the next school year. And then sustain equitable access to music instruction, TK through 12, which again, that's an ongoing, because we do have with ASMO. And then continue professional development in art and or incorporate it into other district level offerings. So I had done the request for us to have a coach again, a LACO coach. So we haven't heard yet whether we got the LACO coach, but the Melissa Valencia, who did the LACO last, she said she will do the professional development. And I would also be willing to do that, because as I said, by then I'll have all my teal modules done. So we have multiple people that would be able to do that. And we have some of our high school. I'm really proud of our high school, because we haven't really aimed at them for the art integration type thing, but they're coming to me with, hey, I had this professional development guy that did art in high school type, how to integrate it in high school. So they're already thinking of that and doing some of that stuff. And then provide professional development in theater arts. And then set up community arts day at one school site. And we already did that last year. And so Michelle's going to continue that into the next year. So that should be hopefully a continuous thing now. And outreach and establish new partnerships to support implementation, provide performances, assemblies, and model potential career pathways. So one of the things that I did last year, and I'm so thankful for Amy Frank, because with all of this new art stuff and ordering and hiring and ordering and she has put so many new vendors in, because we weren't buying guitars before, we weren't buying all of this. So we have set up with the Music Center, which does assemblies. We have Natalie's Paints, who does the acrylic painting. She's set up as a vendor. So it's and I set up Santa Monica Theater. So we set up all of these vendors already. So it makes it really easy. LPAC, we have them set as a vendor now. So it makes it really easy to go on field trips and stuff, because it's not a matter of teachers have to going out of pocket, or that it goes directly through purchase orders. So so we've already kind of been doing that. So it's just a matter of keep doing that. And then set up college art classes at the high school level. So I know that our counselor has been looking at possibilities with both ABC and COC. But and we did have an intro. We did have a kind of an intro, like an art appreciation one last semester, like spring, I think, the beginning of spring. So anyways, that's it. A lot. Sorry, real quick, I gave you the rundown. So art, the art thing, that's our big thing, is that art curriculum. Okay, I'm done now.
Hey, I thought I was sitting in my classroom, Miss Owens holding it down. I can't get my, we were banging on the wall because we were like competing.
We never were banging on the wall.
Yeah, we were always.
We were they put the two of us together because we're both the loudest,
Yeah.
and it doesn't bother either of us. But he used to take roll, and I used to try to beat him taking roll to see if I could be faster. And I'm like, oh, he beat me.
It's all about the energy.
Yeah. You never knew what you'd hear from the other side of the wall with either of us.
All right, we'll go ahead with discussion. Tim?
No, I'm not done. So, Ms. Owens, again, your high energy and your commitment, coordinating, working with all the people that you do. I was blown away when you were teaching, and it was a pleasure to be in the classroom next to you for those many years. But I'm going to backtrack a little bit about how art is so important. I can recall when I was in elementary school, we did field trips, and you mentioned field trips, and field trips are huge, where they took us out of Little Saugus Elementary School, and they took us down to the Philharmonic and put us way up in the nosebleed, and we sat down and we watched these ants down on there, way down there, and the music, we were just like blown away. It was our first exposure to classical music. And I've talked to my brothers and sisters and my alumni, and we all remember that as adults. It set that foundation about appreciation of arts and how it can work in our lives. And that was our field trips at elementary school. And so field trips going to these, and we took ones to plays, and we were just like captivated by the glamour and the artistry and we were angels. And we didn't have cell phones, but we were angels because we would just sit there and come on, let's go. We would still be looking. So that's a foundation. I really appreciate them. You're doing for it. And coming forward many, many, many years, I remember at the initial times at Vasquez when we were on our old temporary campus, that my cousin was the music manager for Johnny Mathis, and I said, hey, I need you to come to campus. We have so many students that really think they're great musicians and they have these bands. Can you come and put together a battle of the bands? And we had them like 2 or 3 years, and we had, our little tiny school would have 7 bands, and each band had 5 or 6 members. And we'd have this battle, and we had thousands of kids there, and he arranged for several of his colleagues to come in, and so the engagement of the professional community to come to the sites and expose the kids. And they were all blown away that our little tiny school had so many kids, 5 bands out of 380, 400 kids. And it was amazing. Now, granted, the kids thought they were really good, and these professionals graded them like professionals. And the kids go, oh, they don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, they do. So it's that exposure to that opportunity for pathways and exposure to this. It just, I am blown away with the work that you've done with your staff and Miss Van Ornament. I missed the art show because I had it on my calendar, and I was really disappointed that I couldn't come to that. But all the core classes we know, and you talked about the kids with special needs, and we have the GATE kids, and we have the AP kids, and we have the general. The kids aren't going to go to college, but art plays a role in their education. It helps them in their classroom, it helps them in their life and their social skills and their interaction. And dadgummit, it's fun to go watch. And I remember that there was years ago we had Miss Roberts as ROP, art teacher, and they were putting on a play, and we used, because we didn't have a gym, we had to go over to High Desert and use their stage. And you know, I'm sitting there as a teacher and I'm watching, and the kids came out and they had gone to someplace and got these costumes, and they came out, and I was crying, I was laughing so hard. They were so impressive and creative, and they had such a great, great time. And we had Miss Carnival for a few years that was helping develop art. And I mentioned in my comments before, is that we've kind of designed, and the economics has pushed us away from these opportunities in arts and the theater and the production. We've stuck with core classes. Well, we can do them both. And this one, arts complements core classes, and it puts a product out at the end of graduation of high school that these are well-rounded, super energized young people that are going to go out and make a difference. And again, great work, compliments to you and all the staff and the young people theater. I didn't get to theater till I got to college, but I loved it. It was so much fun. But so keep up the hard work, and yeah, just awesome. Thank you very much.
I hadn't really met you till today when we were at the colloquium thing, but definitely infectious energy, and it's amazing what's been done, and thank you very much for presenting that. I'm excited.
Okay, you mentioned charter buses a couple of times. I'm taking it you don't need my assistance making those arrangements. Let's start with thanks to the steering committee, the community members that put this together. Hassan Marza was kind of the one assigned to this, and the LA representatives that worked with the community members that kind of framed this up. And I certainly appreciate the support that we've had from whoever provided the grant. This is rough for me. Don't take this the wrong way. I'm going down a different path than everybody else is. The art stuff, it's all great. It was part of school when I went there, but I went to some school-related thing the other day, and there was a piece of paper on everybody's windshield, and I thought, what is this? And it was a formal call for parent action about some subgroups, specific subgroups being excluded from proper learning environments, being whisked off to under pretenses of informal discipline and behavioral issues, being run off to segregated areas. On certain parts of the campus, the old 1960s, will put them people back there, that type of stuff. So I come out and find this kind of stuff on my windshield, and I'm looking at this, and now I'm hearing this, and you know, I spent a bunch of time talking about what I saw in your room the other day. I certainly didn't see that. So when you think about the cost of that, the legal cost, I mean, think about this, parents. I mean, if you're going to put recall photograph on everybody's windshield, that's one thing. But if you're going to say that your photograph, that your school is not inclusive, that certain subgroups are being targeted and they're being excluded, and I walk into my own school and see everybody included, and it wasn't just inclusion because the teacher wanted there to be inclusion. You all like take care of her. And that's what the arts means to me. I'm not an artist, but this is an indicator of a really, really important part. This is where community is, and the kids are building it. So I'm looking at this and going, what is this when I got this? I'm really proud of this program. I'm proud of the people that built it out of the community, the artists. I'm proud of the team that put it together. I'm really proud about it. I'm about measurables, and I'm glad that you can tie what the goals were, and then you can put this in your report back, and then they have to give us the money again. And thanks for everybody that makes this happen. Thank you.
Definitely big thank you to everybody making this happen. For you to have your full-time teaching job, teaching your core classes, and then also learn new arts, and then also go so far above and beyond to make sure that this is going to continue and going to build. What you're doing is absolutely incredible. Before I was on the board, when I was a parent, my kids were at High Desert, Metal Arc, and Vasquez. One thing that was a trend that I noticed is when we have one teacher doing a certain art or a certain elective and focused on that, when they move on, that art moves on with them, or that certain elective moves on with them, and then we weren't replacing that. And it was heartbreaking when we don't replace the choir teacher and we don't replace the art teacher. And I can speak from personal experience, when we don't have art, we don't have performing arts, visual arts, students leave. My kids left because it was best for my family. But my child found a love of choir with Mrs. Cesari at High Desert when we were doing the dual where she would teach 2 periods or a period at High Desert. She fell in love with it. And then when choir went away in our district, that was like the final push for her. She knew she needed to go to Quartz Hill, right next to where I work. So it's a whole mess of things, but that was the final straw why she chose to attend Quartz Hill, because of choir, and we didn't have that here. And then when Sienna was looking at our course requests and there was ceramics at Quartz Hill and we didn't have the art at High Desert or at Vasquez, that's when she decided my kids were going to go to 2 separate schools. My little best friend daughters were going to go to 2 separate schools because of their love of one thing or another. And she saw what she loved, and that made her say, okay, I want to switch schools. So that's just 2 children in my family, so I know that's happening in other families as well. Kids are going to go where they have a love for what they do, where their passion is. And I'm so excited that you are bringing this back, where kids can find their passion at our schools, starting with pre-K, going all the way through 12th grade, and they can follow their passion no matter what age, and to encompass all of the arts, not just drawing, not just painting, not just a choir, but all of the arts, and to have a rock band on campus, super cool. So thank you. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you, Aislinn. You're so young and you're so involved, and to be that push on campus, I think people lose sight of what we do and why we do it, and then we have students here that are pushing. That's why we do it, for kids to enjoy and find their passion. And you clearly have, when you were in